Welcome to Grow Black Leaders,
your go-to source for all things leadership, growth, and development.
for Black leaders, by Black leaders. Let's grow.
So, we get to talk. Pretty dope. Like, we get to just sit and talk about something we like leadership. But today, I think we're going to see where the conversation leads us. I don't think that we have any definite direction for it.
Let's just talk. I feel like the most authentic conversations come out of when you're just talking.
And we actually do like talking to each other.
Yes, we do.
That's pretty dope, actually.
We actually like each other. Not just love each other, but we like each other. At least most of the time.
At least most of the time. We've been married 16 years.
Yep, sweet 16.
Together almost 17, because we kind of did that thing like real fast.
Well, yep, but I feel like that was the best way.
I think there was some leadership in there. I think you you led me down this road, you know what I'm saying?
I led you down a road.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. I believe that you took me pretty fast down the road because you proposed. How long we were dating in February, and by the time it was May, you was talking about you wanted to marry me.
No, it was April that conversation started, and you started it.
Mm-hmm.
You nudged it because you knew you wanted to tell me something, but you wanted me to tell you so you could tell me something. So you set the something up so that we could talk about it.
Oh, okay.
And here we are.
16 years later.
16 years later and thriving and having done quite a bit since then. You know, I know that we started this podcast to really have authentic conversations around leadership. And we really felt this pull and this passion to develop Grow Black leaders, not because we don't care about leaders from all different backgrounds and races and different things like that, but we understand the nuances of leading while Black, but also the challenges in the Black community and the opportunity that we have as a community if we continue advancing leaders.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, there's a lot of the conversations around the challenges that exist, but solutions to me in crisis, in challenge, the solution is always a leader.
Yeah, because everything rises and falls on leadership.
It does.
Yeah, it really does. I think a lot of it has to do with many times the absence of fathers in the home. And many times I think some of our men may not have been equipped to lead properly.
Wow.
Period. So, you know, I think that's many times the root of it.
That's an entire conversation. You know, we were just having this conversation with another couple on Thursday evening, but I know that I'm noticing some very hard shifts in younger men now trying to transition into adulthood. I'm getting a burning passion actually to try to help to address it, because that transition into adulthood is critical. Like really taking that step and what it looks like. And I feel like a lot are struggling because they haven't had the leadership example that they need in order to do it. So I'm excited about what we're building. I think that it's going to be something beautiful and special. I love that it's in its infancy. Like, we're at the stage of life where our kids are getting older. So like we can appreciate it. Is like, I think it makes you appreciate the beginning of a thing and what it feels like in the early stages, because you do recognize that at some point.
Listen, that's a whole conversation in itself, because as a parent, you're wondering, did I put enough in them to go out and lead and be a leader and not just a follower, not follow the stupidity or the things that other people are doing, but hey, did I put enough in them to stand up and lead and do what's right, even when other people are doing what's wrong?
And that's so important. Like, I love that you brought it down to parenthood, right? Because considering kind of this love of leadership that I have now personally, I know a lot of it was cultivated through my parents, how they each led me, the things that they taught me. You know, I talk about them all the time because I do recognize that I have these attributes that are reflective of each of them. Like my dad's very much on time. He is going to be on time. Whatever system he has for the thing is going to be followed no matter what. For me, don't come busting up the system. And if you bust up the system, then what you do with it better work.
It's going to be some consequences.
Because it better work. Because if it don't work, because I'm going to be like, it didn't work because you didn't follow the system, right? So I get that from him. And then this tenacity to never quit, which both of my parents had, or my dad has, and my mom is no longer here. I do think about all that she did to nurture me as a leader. And she was so creative, as she knew how to take whatever resource she had and utilize that to the best of its ability. And I'm that way. Like, I'm going to take what I have. I'm going to use creativity to cause it to blossom, right? She was tenacious. Both of our parents also taught me to understand the value of people.
Yeah.
Right. And you really cannot lead anything successfully unless you understand the value of people, because newsflash, when you get into leadership, it really isn't about you anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of leaders struggle.
They think it's about them.
They do, because they were previously high performers. Typically, people advance into leadership because they performed high at a certain level. So they were noticed for what they were able to do, what they were able to accomplish. And somebody said, wait a minute, you should be leading because of how you performed at this level.
But that's not necessarily what leadership is. It's not just about performance. That's only one part of leadership, because you can perform all you want, but it may be difficult for you to get other people to perform.
That's it.
You can't lead nobody but yourself.
You're not leading until you have others actually following you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the critical part. I think the other thing to talk about is this kind of dichotomy in leadership, because I think the interesting thing is that, life is really happening over here.
We have 2 dogs and God's son.
Recording. And so, but, I think this dichotomy has to be discussed, because a lot of times when you move into leadership, people begin to look at you through a specific lens. And that lens happens to be that, you get it right all the time. You have all of the answers. You are not fearful. Nothing bothers you. You are invincible. Like, people begin to see you that way, or they expect you to be that way. And then you also have the segment of people who are like, oh, you are this, you are too mean, or you are too strict, or if I were leading, I would not do this or that. And then there's who you are as a human. Like, you uphold these certain standards in your life because you certainly want to meet certain specifications of what people see as a leader, but a human is still trying to do this. So that human is still battling fear at times, worry at times, anxiety at times. Sometimes that human is like, I don't really know the answer today. But I think that the beauty of leadership is that you try anyway. It's like you have this courage in the midst of fear to say, it looks this way, but I'm still going to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think that it's important. Okay, so always feeling like you get it right or you don't make mistakes as a leader, I think it's not really about that. Of course, you do have to be wise when you're leading people, and you have to consider other people when you're leading. But I think when you do mess up, you do make a decision that wasn't the greatest, that you acknowledge that decision. I feel that people can trust you more if they feel that, okay, I can trust that they're going to acknowledge that, hey, I didn't get it right this time, but I want to do this to correct what it is that I did initially.
You mean sometimes you got to be like, that's on me?
Yeah. And I feel that people will give you space for that because they realize that you're human, because they don't get it right every single time. But at least I can trust you enough to say when you didn't get it right, instead of you trying to gaslight me and making me think that it's my problem, or you blaming it on me. And I can just, instead of me just taking responsibility and saying like, hey guys, I didn't get that right. Not trying to make it like, well, y'all didn't do this or y'all didn't do that or it didn't work because of y'all. No, it didn't work because of me. I didn't do that.
Now, we got to stop there for the listener because somebody's listening right now and you like, get out my business, okay? Like, but we're going to go ahead and practice this thing wherever you are. You're going to practice because you got to go back to your team. You already knew it was you. Like, you know it was you.
Yeah.
You struggle with it because you're afraid that if you admit that you know it's you, then that's going to cause you to lose your ability to lead going forward.
Listen, and it's something you have to do. I can remember my own leadership journey. I actually made a decision that was not the best decision. And you know how you can start to feel from people that the decision you made wasn't a good one.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, something is off. I'm feeling a little something from people. And then I had to go back and actually talk to people.
Yes.
And ask them like, hey, what were your thoughts about what I said? Or how could I have done that differently? And they were honest with me. And I was able to come back and tell them like, hey, I didn't do that right. And I feel that they appreciated me acknowledging that and saying like, hey, I could have done it this way.
That's good.
So I think that, I think leaders sometimes have a hard time with vulnerability and transparency because you don't want to feel like, oh, if I'm letting them in on everything I'm feeling, they're not going to respect me as a leader or they're not going to see me the same. But people want to see your humanness. No, they don't want you falling all out every time they turn around, but they do want to see that you're human.
That's good. Now we're going to leave them with that. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. You practicing talking to your team, all right? That's on me. My bad. That's on me.
Yeah.
Can we do that one? My bad.
That's on me.
That's on
me. Or how about I'm sorry?
Oh, now.
Or can we normalize saying I'm sorry? We just gonna let it pause. Just sit there. You know, because it takes a lot to say those words.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. Y'all, we look forward to so many conversations with you. Grow Black Leaders has so many great leaders who will be joining us for this season of our podcast. We cannot wait to introduce them to you. We're going to have so many more great dialogues together as well. We want this to be a comfortable space for you to grow. Wherever you are in your leadership, you have an opportunity to go further.
Thank you for tuning in to Grow Black Leaders. Don't let your growth journey stop here.
Be sure to subscribe and visit our website, growblackleaders.com, and follow us on social media @GrowBlackLeaders.